it all into a package into one book, because I do making the hats, basic, and then advanced hat making, and then
you poured another roller. I could have given you this one.
making the roses, and then dyeing fabric, silk fabric, and straw hat and straw.
Of course, in that book, you can give
you want to save that
your
roller?
website and how they can get DVDs, instructions, and stuff. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there for you. Might be interesting, and I mean, shoot, even if it only sold, 50,000 copies or something.
And I'll need to trim.
$10 a copy. I mean,
so I will.
It's only
$500,000.
$500,000.
So even if it took you 5 years, that's 100,000 a year.
Yeah, that's true. I have to think about that seriously, Randini.
Yes.
But it's that type of adventure or venture is not something that a lot of people are going to sit down and spend a lot of time doing. It's really a very small group of people.
I would bet you could write. I guarantee you sell 50,000 copies.
Let me. Can you go in the other room and get some papers? Can somebody go get a wet paper towel? Should I just go get a wet paper towel? Will you do that? Thank you.
Because I'm thinking that you can write.
I can't do it because I'm on TV.
Anything. And sell 50,000 copies over time.
No, that's not necessarily true. And Ralph says that a lot of times you can print something and publish it and put it in the bookstores, and they have the right to turn it back to you anytime. They can't do that with DVDs.
Yeah, Ralph's a smart one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around a while now.
That's been a policy since the 30s or 40s, when a bookstore, they can just pull stuff off the shelf and hand it back to you. They buy the DVDs from you, they have to keep them, they can't give them back to you.
They changed the laws on when they came out with CDs and things.
Yeah, because they were too easy to record like that,
I would think that I would be better than I am.
With a big roller trying to get into little tight spots on the corners, you can't do that. You gotta have a cut-in brush.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one. But I actually used to be a paint contractor a long time ago, and I used to paint a whole lot, and I painted, when you do it every day, you get so good.
Oh, you can do it with the big roller.
Yeah, I used to use a great big fuzzy roller, and I'd cut the smallest thing.
Oh, really?
And I am just such a klutz now.
I have a couple more wet rags.
Painting like everything else takes some practice, doesn't it?
Right. If whatever you do a lot, you get good at.
Yes.
That's what I tell my children. They say, "How does so-and-so play the piano so well? How does so-and-so ride a skateboard so well? How do they ride a bicycle so well?"
They do it
I
all.
tell them, I say, they just
With
practice. I said, there's no telling how many times.
Well, actually,
the guy fell off the bicycle and broke his arm or broke his finger.
John, you're going to be using this. You're going to need a cut-in brush in a minute, aren't you?
Or how many times Roy Jones got knocked out before he came real good.
Wash it out if we're done.
And so, in saying that, my youngest son Josh has got the concept of that. He got it many years ago. He's only 12 years old, but many years ago he just picked up on that concept. And so he figured out that when he wants to do something and he really wants to be well at it, that's what he does. So he eats, sleeps, and drinks whatever he's trying to learn. And he'll do that for 6 or 7 months, and he'll get really good at it. Not a professional, but he'll get really good at it. But then his problem is he says, okay, he feels like, okay, I've mastered it to the best of what I want to master it, so he moves on.
Right.
So he got really good at doing skateboard tricks. He got really good at bicycle tricks, where he could ride wheelies. I mean, he could literally just ride a wheelie just anywhere he wanted to, and jump ramps and all that stuff. And my older son, my 15-year-old Randy, he won't take the time. He gets flustered. So as soon as he messes up, that's it. It's done. It's over with. Move on to the next thing.
That's me.
Now, Josh, I got to say one thing about Josh. He kept hounding me because he wanted to build a miniature hovercraft that he could ride on.
Did he?
And I told him, I kept telling him, no. So this went on for about 9 months, me telling him no. And he finally got me. He come to me, and he said, and I said, Josh, I said, and I don't mean to sound rude, but I told him, I said, Josh, I said, I'm getting tired of hearing about it. Just leave me alone. I said, it's not possible. And he looked me dead in the eye and he says, "But Dad," he said, "you've always told me that anything I can dream of is possible." And I said, "Oh." And I said, "Okay, you got me."
That's when you look him in the eye and say, "I lied."
Sometimes dads lie.
So I told him, I said, "Well, then," I said, "you get it started," and I said, "I'll help you build it." And by George, he got it started, and I just pretty much, all I did was showed him how to put some staples in the thing, and that was all I did, and he built a hovercraft, and he flies all over the neighborhood in that thing now.
Oh my God.
He's got a leaf blower on the back that blows the air down. He used some rubber that my wife had left over from a waterfall that she built. He put
Now,
that
see,
around.
you should have filmed that.
He got a
That's
one of
worthy
them,
of being filmed.
one of them boogie boards that you use at the beach. Is real thin, and that's what he mounted all this stuff on. And he sits on it. He turns that leaf blower on it, jacks him up, and starts going. And he starts doing. Then now he wants to mount a fan on it, so he can actually go. He has to push himself if he wants to go forward, you know.
So he wants to propel with a fan.
He wants to build a bigger one
Well,
now.
tell him to look on eBay for a old parts, old what do they call those things they whip around in the Everglades on?
Airboat.
Airboat. Parts for parts, and get one where the
That might be a
propeller,
little
where
more
the
powerful
fan
than-
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And I want to put my 12-year on. But he's
well,
got an
maybe
idea
you
about
could
it.
needs is a
maybe you
second
could put a
leaf blower.
governor on it and carry it down.
Well, what he's wanting to do now is he's wanting me to get him a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and then saw it down to a smaller square, like it's only like 4x4, and then he wants to rebuild the whole thing and put a seat on it. And he's already come up, this is all his idea. He said, "I can put a thing on a valve." He said, "I know they make a valve." And he said, "I can go ahead and start the leaf blower, and when my handle's down beside my arm, the valve will be open and all the air will just go up to nowhere. And when I pull the handle up, all the air will go down, and it'll fill up and it'll raise for me." And so he's already got that figured out how he can raise and lower it.
I love
And he
it.
said, "Then I'll set a fan on it."
Well, if he does it, you should film this. You should film that.
Yeah, I should.
You should. That would be great. You
I should film his little one that he's already
Yeah, yeah. You
Bloody
should.
hell!
You
I hope your son is the kid that finally gives us the jet car one day. 20 years from now, finally invent the
Yeah,
jet
and
car.
that's the beginning of it all.
But he's a little inventor, I'll tell you
I'm
what.
drinking.
And my 15-year-old.
Orange.
It looks
Orange.
really, really cool with the chroma thing. It was like,
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Yeah,
was
it
like,
does.
what
is
Oh, look at that. That is cool. It just
Whoa.
disappears. No, hold it up hold it up. Just,
Oh
no,
yeah, and the
there.
bottle just goes.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Look at it. It's just
Whoa.
floating orange juice.
It's orange crystal delight. Crystal light.
So my 15-year-old, he just gets flustered and he says, "I don't know how Josh comes up with all this stuff." And I said, "Well, you know, everybody's different. I can't come up with thoughts like that. So, but Josh, he's always coming up with something. Always something. It's always, Daddy, can I do this? Daddy, can I do that?"
That's excellent.
Yeah, it really is. You should consider yourself
And
very
it's your
fortunate.
daddy. He invents things and he builds them, and he just comes up with all kinds of different contraptions. And he took a big orange sled, plastic sled, and he was wanting to ride in the sled, but it was summertime. This was back at the beginning of summer. And he said, "Well, how can I?" So first he got on a trip, how can we make snow? And then he figured out, well, you can't make sno because it's too warm outside. That didn't take him long to figure that out, of course. And he said, so then he said, well, then what can I do? So what he done was he has about 15 different skateboards. So he took 2 skateboards and he set them underneath this thing. And so he had 4 wheels on it, and he put screws through it, mounted them down, and now he rides that thing down the road.
So it's 4 skateboards.
2 skateboards.
2 skateboards.
2 skateboards. Yeah. He loves it.
Well, John, I have a question for you because I'm real intrigued with who gets the best seafood in town and who gets the freshest, and when does it get there? Who gets the best?
Do you mean restaurant or?
I don't know. Whoever, both.
Well,
Are both people getting? Are both groups
Oh, no,
getting
John.
delivery?
what?
You have painted your cell phone case with major paint.
Why did I do that?
Ooh, hand me my purse.
Tell me that way around. Throw me that wet paper. Hang on, throw me that wet paper towel.
Here you go, John. I got one right here for you. There you go.
Do we need newspapers?
That's okay if,
You ain't nothing but a hound
where
dog.
did it hit?
Now people's hearing that and they're saying,
Can you
where's that
see
coming
how I
from?
got it on there?
Where is that coming from?
What?
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Can you see where the paint?
No, I don't see where the paint got on there. If I did, I would let you know.
I'm just not good anymore. I'm not good at, I really used to be really good at a lot of things, and now I'm not good at anything.
You good at shooting the breeze?
About as far as I can go.
Well, that's better than a lot of people.
Still a better audio engineer than I'm ever gonna be.
Our heart goes out to John.
Yeah, poor John.
John Blackwell.
Okay, but he still didn't. Here in Blackwell Studios at URTV.
Yes.
Studio B.
No,
No,
this
it's
is
Blackwell
the
Studios.
John Blackwell wing. Studio B is John Blackwell wing. It
I
is
told him that the B stands for black.
owned and operated by Mr. Blackwell.
Owned and operated. No, it's not. It's owned and operated.
Actually,
by
it's
you.
owned by the public
It's
Yes.
your
and
TV.
operated
It's
by
your TV.
URTV management and was funded in part by a lot of people, but
Including yourself.
including myself, and a lot of labor by John Blackwell.
Yep. Blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of sweat equity in here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not all that much.
I don't know. Last week you were sweating pretty heavy, man.
I know.
Yeah, and bleeding. You were sweating and bleeding. Your arm was bleeding.
So, can you tell us about the good seafood places or no?
Oh, seafood places, I can tell you that
Who gets-
that on Wednesday,
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Nope.
He's around somewhere.
I can give the information that on Wednesday, Camper Dave, we'll start on Tuesday. On Tuesday, Camper Dave goes down and he meets the boats, the fishing boats. He's down at Kitty Hawk. And he-
Oh, really? So he goes over to the
And he'll meet the boats.
Outer Banks.
Yeah, he meets the fishing boats when they come in, and he helps sometimes unload the cargo and all. So he knows what is the freshest fish, what was the honest catch of the day, you know. And so he'll pick the freshest fish. So he'll pick fish that were swimming in the ocean often Thursday. And on Tuesday, is what I'm trying to say. See, I say everything wrong. Tuesday. So then,
I thought that's what you
and he
meant.
stays up almost all night, Tuesday night, cleaning those fish and filleting those fish and packing them on ice. His family has operated a seafood market down at Kitty Hawk for many years.
Oh, okay.
He goes in at night after the store is closed and sits there. Sometimes he can get a cousin to help him and stuff. And he cleans and fillets pounds and pounds of fish. And he brings them to Asheville and he sells them in the tailgate market at the French Broad Food Co-op. Has a tailgate market where local farmers bring their vegetables, all this. It's not just the best place to get fish, it's the best place to get fresh vegetables that were grown just down the road. People bake homemade breads and stuff there. The mushroom man comes and he has mushrooms. There's all kinds of wonderful things at the tailgate market
And when is that?
on Wednesdays. Wednesday afternoon at the tailgate market. But until Camper Dave did that, I'm a big lover of fish. I've loved fish all my life, and I've lived at the beach for many years of my life. I've lived on islands for many years of my life, and I've been accustomed to having very fresh seafood available to me. And then when I lived in a place like Asheville, for years, there was truly, people did not know what fresh seafood was.
I know.
And you could, in New Orleans, you know what fresh seafood
I
is. You
came
get it
here
off
and I got the
boat.
most expensive, worst sushi I had ever had when I first moved here,
That's what
thinking,
I'm
oh, sushi, yay!
Right,
It's
and
just
it's
$2
you don't want to eat that.
Why am I not even remotely surprised?
You don't even want to eat.
Ew.
You don't
Well-
even want to eat that stuff. No.
Well, see, I had been like, brainwashed in New Orleans that when people say they have sushi, it's gonna be good.
Well, in New Orleans, if you're going to have seafood,
It is good.
It probably came off the boat yesterday.
Yeah.
Or today.
Yeah.
You know, or I've had people go down to the dock, meet the boat, come back with a bushel basket of shrimp, and start and boil a big old pot of water and cook that shrimp, and in like 5 minutes we are eating fresh shrimp that were flipping around. You know, and
Yeah.
that's, you know, when the shrimp boats come
Yeah.
in and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
And
I know when
ocean-
the seafood is fresh because
The-
you know we had it on. So that's when you said that you were associated with that. I was like, oh well, okay. Well, who gets the freshest?
The ocean scallops this year have been the best that I have had in years.
The
I've been
really good scallops, the ones that are
sweet and scallops, big,
Oh.
big. They've
yeah
been big. The scallops come in all different sizes.
yeah I know.
You think
Yeah.
one? No. Well, no. There.
Are you taking off?
No. No. Take this one.
Oh, taking that off. Okay. I give a few hints on scallops from having eaten scallops out in restaurants. Here, I'll bring my microphone over here, and I have hints towards scallops, and there's things. Some people treat their scallops with a chemical that makes
Right,
the scallop
That's why it's hard to
absorb-
get really good ones.
absorb more water
And so when
stuff.
you can't caramelize them.
Right, and probably about 90% of the people out there that wholesale large amounts of scallops do that because it adds water weight to the scallop and stuff like that.
Exactly.
They get
But
bigger
it
and
does
all
not.
that.
It doesn't do anything for the flavor.
Well, they don't cook up right.
Yeah, see, I like to caramelize the scallop too.
Yeah.
And people tell me that I've overcooked it. Perhaps I need to cook it quicker to caramelize
Maybe
it.
so. Yeah, you have to have a real high flame, get that nice crust on the outside, but the very soft, tender,
Yeah,
almost rare on the inside.
right.
Close to being rare.
Most seafood.
From rare to medium rare.
Most
right in
seafood
there.
requires a quick cook.
Yes,
It does.
yes,
And-
exactly.
And so back to fresh seafood, the scallops that I've had for the last few years, and I'm going to say about 5 years, I've not had good scallops. I've been very disappointed. And again, I'm not meaning to plug Dave at this point, but the fact is that Dave's bringing up some the best scallops I have had in years, and I just
Oh,
assume
well, that's wonderful
that a
to
lot of
hear.
it
So
is
I'm
the-
going to go get me some scallops next
last
Wednesday.
last Wednesday, I got some, and I took them over to we took them to Bonnie's house, and I made scallops Alfredo.
Uh-huh.
That's what we had, and it was.
How do you do your Alfredo?
It was, well, I had to wing it because they did not have heavy cream.
Mm-hmm.
But I did used to work for Michael Giannoni, who taught me to make Alfredo sauce with heavy cream and cheese and Parmesan and oregano and
So does that get a little bit of seafood stock in it or no?
yeah, you use the clam juice
Yeah, the
The
kind
juice.
of the juice
Yeah.
from whatever.
and some garlic
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And,
Sounds good. What do you thicken it up with?
well, if you use heavy cream to
It
start
thickens up on its
with,
own.
with the cheese and all the heavy cream, it makes itself. Mine came out a little thin, but I don't recall. It's been a long time, but I don't recall being taught to thicken it. It's not like a southern dish. You'll use a flour or a starch
Cornstarch.
to thicken, but on an Italian thing, I think you don't use. I think when you buy them in the grocery store, they've been thickened
Yeah.
that way. But I
Yeah.
don't. But I think the Italian cooking, I don't think you do that.
Well, I know I had some wonderful light white sauces whenever I was in northern Italy.
Uh-huh.
A bechamel sauce. It was just
And could you
That's
did you
fine.
know how it was made or not? You
not
just,
then. I
you
was
just had to eat
I
it.
was
and say,
just eating it, going, oh. Well, but that was about the time New York Times cookbook came out, like the
Yeah.
late '60s, early '70s. They came out with Julia Child came out with some really good cookbooks back in that time, and then New York Times came out with some good a good cookbook where you could actually go and get those kinds of recipes, whereas before you only really had like a Betty Crocker cookbook.
That was the standard. Betty Crocker was the standard.
Yeah, Betty Crocker cookbook, which cooked some basic good stuff, but didn't
So
get
there
into.
were no really good cookbooks before the 60s?
Well,
there
were
were.
a few, but not many. But
Not
Julia Child turned it all around
Good for her.
when she came out with the
She was awesome, wasn't she?
French Cook, and then the other one was The Joy of Cooking. That was The Joy
Right,
of
that was a
Cooking,
turnaround thing too.
and the New York Times cookbook, and Julia Child's. Those three, and then Paul Prudhomme brought all of the Louisiana cuisine to America.
But
He
Betty
made-
Crocker
he made
is a good
Louisiana-
standby to this day.
It is. It
I
sure
mean,
is.
you
There's
want-
nothing wrong with
You
it.
want to know how to make a cake? You know, you want to change the recipes. You want to swap it up a little bit. But when you want to look and you want to see how much egg do you use, how much flour do you use, and stuff like that, you get your basics out of Betty Crocker,
That is
Right
so
there.
true.
and then you go from there. For just about all of your standard
Yeah.
dishes.
Yeah, a good meatloaf, a good
That's
meat.
right.
It's a good meat and potatoes book.
Right.
It's
It's not
a
exactly
basic-
Southern cooking, but it's not far off.
It's a
pretty
good
much-
basic cookbook with all the pancakes and some quick breads and probably
Yes,
maybe a
but-
few yeast breads in there and some pie. Yeah, I bet you could make a good pie crust out of a Betty Crocker recipe with no problem.
Absolutely. Right.
Down home cooking is what it is.
A lot.
Okay, so it's at the French Broad Co-op where you get the fresh seafood.
It's beside the French Broad Co-op. It's where
Yeah,
the bicycle shop used
yeah,
to be, and
right.
now it's called Green Builders Supply, I think,
Yeah.
and stuff has moved into that building. And it's but that's what. But like I say, that's not just the place to get seafood. It's the place to get fresh peppers, fresh
Yeah.
Herbs, all kinds of herbs, flowers. People bring in big old sunflowers and stuff, and roots and breads and jellies and jams and all kinds of stuff.
You know, we've got about 10 or 12 tailgate markets around town now.
I know
You
we do.
that?
I saw another one. Where did I see the other one? Oh,
Well, they
over
just
in the
started.
West End.
Yeah,
There's one in behind West End Bakery on Wednesday as well.
yeah, and Green Life has one on Wednesday
Green Life?
afternoon.
Is that Wednesday?
There's
That
one
was
on the
Wednesday
UNCA
afternoon.
campus on
And
Saturday.
UNCA campus, which is a great one, which is the one that used to be behind Fresh Market many years ago, and then it moved over to the Brew.
Oh, there's one behind the Bruin View.
Well,
is
the
that
Brew and
moved?
View moved to the UNCA.
Oh, okay. Is that called the North Asheville
Yeah,
Market?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. North Asheville Market. See, I didn't know where.
And there's a person there with fresh meat,
Uh-huh.
organic meat, but I don't think the seafood has made it up there yet.
Well, it did at one point for a little while. It comes and goes. That we can
Even this out.
spread just so thin with the seafood, and a lot of it has to
That's
do
pretty much
with
like in Gilbert.
how many fish are caught.
Yeah.
And how many fish are available.
Yeah.
They are
Pretty much
coming
just
in
use the
fresh
whole
and
put
what,
those out
what we
anyway.
can get and stuff. What Dave can get for a while. A lot of the fishermen were a lot of the independent
Where?
fishermen that were just taking out small boats and coming in, and that and that's your really best catch because they're going out today and they brought in
Right.
fresh, and they've not gone out for a week and brought in
Yeah.
and that's what you want.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys went out of business because there were a lot of regulations and stuff imposed upon them, some for good reason and stuff like that, but it became very expensive, and it became things that the corporate fishing guys could afford, but the independents couldn't afford. And so a lot of them just said, well, darn it, I'm not making much money now, so last year there was a definite lack on a lot of the fish.
So then what happened this year?
and-
Some
well-
more came back or what?
I don't know. Dave's finding more. I don't know if he's driving further but he's a lot of what he's doing is it has a lot to do with what's being caught.
Yeah.
And it's not, so it's not like you can go there every day and expect to get wahoo.
Yeah.
Because if they're not catching wahoo right now, then there may not be any.
Yeah, they're not biting.
Right. And so it's a lot like that. And for instance, he brought one sea trout this week. There was one sea trout.
Now, does
And-
grouper come up that far up?
Oh yeah.
You get
Rockfish,
he gets
grouper, redfish, all that. Bluefish, a lot of bluefish. And bluefish has been a big one. A lot of people do not like bluefish, and a lot of people do like bluefish. You got your people, your bluefish people, and your not bluefish people. You know, but I tell them all, it's all about Dr. Seuss. It's one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. We got all the fish.
We can actually see paint dry on the monitor.
Yes,
We can.
yeah.
Look how it's dancing above
Yeah,
your
yeah,
head.
lessons. Yeah, I love it.
Oh,
Shiny
the light is hitting that wet spot there.
Right, and dancing.
But I've noticed in just the past couple of minutes, though, that spot seems to have shrunk a little bit.
It
So
has.
literally, we're seeing paint dry.
Right.
We're watching paint dry here on URTV.
Yeah, hold up your
And
orange juice
people
in front
always
of it.
use that analogy that it's as boring as watching paint dry.
Hold up your
And
orange juice in front of the paint.
So
dryer
what do you
again.
think?
I have to
boring
say, there are so many worse things on cable TV than watching paint dry.
You know what I was?
There are so many bad things on TV.
When I was
Yes.
running,
Why am I paying for 500 channels and I only watch 2?
That's what I was saying when I went out to my truck. I was thinking to myself, well, people are thinking, well, what kind of TV show is this? And I'm thinking, well, now this might be a pretty slack episode of the Tea Party being the paint
This is
party.
a slack.
But then again, I thought, when I got cable TV and I turned it on, there was Dancing with the Stars. And I'm going to tell you, if that didn't bore the living heck out of me, oh my God, I thought, oh my God, how could, it was like pulling teeth to watch that. It's Dancing with the Stars, and I thought, well, I'm going to settle down with a good book tonight. So I turned that off. So that but I had just gotten cable TV, so I thought, so here came the next night. I thought, ooh, we'll see what's on tonight. Perhaps there'll be a good mystery or something. I turned it on. It was Dancing with the Stars 2 nights in a row, and then I found out they're going to have it tomorrow night too. And you know what? This right here, painting that wall, will beat out Dancing with the Stars for my money any day. That's what I think.
So what happens if the Blue Man Group comes in here on the chroma key?
Oh, Blue Man Group is a whole different thing. Then they changed their name to the Invisible Man Group. We're going to do that. As a matter of fact, after 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have like the Nude Man Group. But they're going to be all blue. See,
We're bringing the blue people back.
blue people. It's going to be blue people.
We've had blue people on the show before.
We're going to have blue people on blue screen. We're going to have blue people on blue screen. It's going to be the invisible nude people. So we're going to do an all nude television show, all in blue. Mm-hmm.
Well, where did all the blue people
And
go?
nobody will get to see anything but their eyes. And maybe their tongue.
It'll be like the Cheshire Cat.
Right.
So we've had blue people on the show before. Where did they all disappeared?
We did. We had your parents were blue, I recall.
Yes. My parents are blue people.
Yes, I remember that.
Well,
I remember that quite affectionately now when we were stuck with blue. Out of
That's
curiosity.
one of the
What
favorite.
happens if we do that with the chroma key?
That's one of
It's
the.
not going to work.
That's
right?
one of the
It's an after
favorite
effect.
episodes when I show that to people who we got sticking in their head in the door. Hey, come on in. Would you like to be part of the? Naked Blue? What do you call it? Interview, late night show.
They're gonna
Everybody
paint- they're gonna
gets
paint people
painted blue.
in the nude, and then they're going to chroma key them.
Right.
So
And all
get
you
away
can
with
see is their
nudity
eyes.
on URTV.
And so nobody can see anything but eyes moving.
Now, of course, you could do that to tape and still air it after 2. So you wouldn't have to wait till we have those capabilities. You could tape it and then submit it to be showed after 2.
I know, but do you know how much work all that is? You think I'm really going to do any of that?
I would say chances are no.
But I could probably talk John into doing it. Big John from Mount Dungeon. I believe he'd be ready for that, don't you?
Well, I don't know if he wants to personally jump around blue and naked. I do know
But
that
he'd be
he
getting
likes
a
the
bunch of people to do it.
He's discussed the idea of trying to track down a few strippers just to like break the nude barrier at 2 o'clock and have a past 2 o'clock only show. So you know what? Blue strippers could be alluring. Yes.
All right, I told him I would help him. I have a group of friends that once they get through with about a half gallon of tequila,
We'll do anything.
you can hardly keep them from taking their clothes off.
Okay. I have one question. And I consider this very pertinent.
Yes.
Are these people that if they got naked,
You'd want to see it.
yeah.
Some of them yes, some of them no.
Okay.
You really want to see these?
Maybe you can have a casting call. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably some tests that should be passed.
It's like you yes, you no. You. Oh, you lose about 200 pounds and come back.
No, because then it's worse because the skin's all saggy. It's better to have a porky person than a formerly porky person.
I know. Well, anyway. Yeah, and I told him I'd help him with that, and I have just been in the throes of it because I have been moving out. I have moved my entire reality into a storage bin.
Can you sleep there?
No. And I've tried to put my office in the front of the storage bin, so I've got two big cabinets with doors on them that I can open that houses quite a bit of technology and stuff like that. But what happened was, in the end, as the crunch came down, so much stuff got piled up in front of the doors that I can no longer open the doors and reveal the technologies that are necessary. Hence, we're using the microphones from the station today, and
Maybe you need another storage bin.
they cost too much money.
How much do they cost? You know that's supposed to be a very lucrative business. Did you know? Better than rentals. Better than house rentals.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
George's store more around town? It's making a lot of money.
Right. And I don't want to even get into that.
How much a storage?
That
cost?
particular outfit is not my favorite.
Oh, okay.
So I
But
won't.
so how much does a storage bin one go for?
Well, the one I have now is $60 a month.
And how big is that?
Well, you see how big this room is?
Yeah.
It's not that big.
Well, that's not bad.
It's like half.
So it's really not as big as this room. It's this room. Or are you talking about that room?
It's like no, that room is bigger. No, well, this room is like about half this room.
Do you think it's like 10 by 10?
No, I think it's about 5 by 15.
Oh, okay. So.
And don't you wish the government would let you just sleep there?
No, it's
the-
hot in there.
Oh, well, okay.
Sleep there?
Well, I'm just
The
saying.
government won't let you sleep in your storage bin?
I think you're not supposed to do that.
There's something about, residential versus commercial, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I know I remember a few years ago an artist friend that would sleep in his studio space that he rented.
Right.
And, he's tried to be just very hush-hush, like not talk about it, because that's where he slept. And according to zoning laws and all that, she wasn't supposed to be sleeping there. Because it wasn't really equipped for human habitation, blah, blah, blah. It's where he slept.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people who crash
Yeah, there's a lot of
at
people.
their studios down on the River District.
The wet spot has just about disappeared. It's just you can hardly see it at all on the.
Well, we got the dogs. Did I tell you that
Tell
we got
me
the
all
dogs?
about your dogs. Now, tell me the name of these kind of dogs you got.
They're Bichons.
Okay, and where did the Bichons come from?
They came from a kill shelter.
But where did Bichons, the breed, come from?
They're an old breed,
Okay.
very old breed. They were from in the 1700s. They had them on boats to, I guess, catch varmints on the boat.
Okay, so they're good rat dogs and stuff.
I don't know if they're good rat dogs, but they kept them on boats for some
Okay.
reason. Partly because they hate to jump off in the water and get drowned. They hate
To swim.
oceans.
They're not good
So
swimmers. They're not happy swimmers.
they're not happy getting out there and swimming.
Mhm.
So, but they're very cute and they're very untrained because they haven't had an owner.
How old are they?
We think they're about between a year and a half.
Okay,
No.
so that's it's a little old, but you can
But
still
one of
train.
them's very puppyish.
Okay.
And they have very puppy-looking teeth. Very healthy, very clean, fresh-looking,
So
sharp little teeth.
have you started telling them? Have you
Oh
started
yes,
Explaining to them how it works?
discipline.
Mhm.
Tough love.
Is that you?
That's
Are
me
you-
and Herb.
Are you?
Herb's got more tough love than me because Hazard, we named them Hazard and Camille. Hazard got away yesterday
Mhm.
and went tearing through the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Just tearing through the neighborhood. And of course, dogs like to play catch me if you can.
Uh-huh.
So,
And
you
if
get
you
close
chase
to him
them-
and but they're very cute and they're very lovable.
Uh-huh.
So we're very happy with them.
Now, what do you think about coming on with Gray at this point and on a roller?
Gray where?
Well, if we want to do there, yeah, I wouldn't try and do like over at this end today. I would just like let the zipper dry.
Oh, okay. For some reason I wanted to start with the brick, but that's okay. I'm
Okay,
fine.
well, I mean, you want to do the corner you're standing in or something, fine.
No,
But, I mean,
I'm
I would,
fine.
I would leave the zipper be today.
Okay. What time is it?
It is 6:08.
8.
Okay, well, we have less than an hour. I don't think that in less than an hour we want to get started with a new color, do we? I think we just need to watch paint dry now.
Yeah.
Just about.
You know?
There's just a little bit left in this cup. There's no point in
Well,
putting
I
it
love
back
that
in
color
the can,
blue.
so I'm
It's
just
very
going to use it
pretty.
up.
It is. I love blue.
Beautiful.
I
Oh,
love
I
it.
do the pipes here. Yeah, perfect.
Now, John
That's so
Six
okay.
came up with an idea, and he's a big internet person. I want to see where my lights are going. Okay, John Six came up with an idea today, and I wanted to mention it. He said, could we do a deal on the air where, over the internet, so you could watch the TV show on TV, but the scroll that runs at the bottom of the thing, so that the home viewing audience could type in over the internet what would roll through the scroll. We can
could yes and no on that.
we can do this. Oh, I told him.
Because we
I said
don't
there
want
would have
people
to.
writing in saying,
Right.
your paint drying show is so boring.
Oh.
We want them to say, your paint drying show is scintillating.
No, we could let them write anything they wanted to, but we'd have to put a delay on it so that if they wrote something obscene or something that was inappropriate, then but if someone wanted to say how boring the show was, I can
live with that.
I would let it roll,
Okay, well, so can we do that?
Actually, we can. With his help, if he wants to make the internet program that works the internet side of it, for instance, my laptop has a S-video output on it, so I can tie it into here, and if he can arrange the scroll to run across the bottom of a web page, we can do a split screen. You know what I mean?
So we could
that
do live streaming.
we could stream live, but we would have to have a delay where anything that ran would have to be approved before it went up.
Well, I'm excited about that.
But I thought that gave me an idea of it would be a funny show to hear people's comments, because when somebody said a dumb thing, somebody at home is going to write in and
We
say
could have a
that
lot
is
more
so-
interaction than we're having right now. We could have a ton of interaction.
Well, and that way, when every now and then sometimes we have a guest on that says a dumb thing, And when we had a guest that said a dumb thing.
Yeah, and
then-
you know, and maybe you have a guest who says a bad thing, like Davine has said on several occasions, but Davine is turning over a new leaf and she's not saying anything bad anymore, not even a double entendre.
Davine, have you ever worked
Oh,
customer
that won't be
service
any
jobs?
fun.
What?
Have you ever worked customer service jobs?
No, why?
Okay. So, that's, that I guess may be part of your problem. Because I have done customer service jobs for years and years and years. So I very deliberately, when I'm in front of a camera, and I didn't really realize this until I was getting in front of a camera, but I kind of realized that there's a mode you switch in and out of. So whenever I'm in front of the camera, I try in my head to stay in kind of the same place where I would be.
Public service mode.
Yes. At which point, there's just automatically words that I do not let slip out of my mouth.
Right, right. When
That's
you do,
what I'm gonna do. I'm turning over a new leaf.
Oh, good.
hey Richard, come on in.
Public
Join the, if you
service.
can get in.
Public service.
Yeah, it's a little.
earlier.
It's a
Come on in.
little.
Was it real
cramped in here.
boring?
No. Hey, I got some music. You remember the group I was telling you about? Johnny Cash group?
Is it,
I don't have it. It's in my laptop. Can't bring it in. The Folsom Prison Gang out of Boston, North Carolina, wants to do something with Matt, and I think I left it in my laptop.
oh well.
This is my band.com / the Folsom Prison Gang.
Oh, are they on there? The Folsom Prison Gang can be viewed on thisismyband.com.
Hey,
And they've got a video
for
on
me?
there, or they just got audio? Do they have video or just audio on there?
Just audio on there.
Just audio?
Alright.
What's
John,
this?
just be
It's
sure to
about
get that
band.
back.
That's about the band.
And I'm gonna clean my brushes.
well,
Do I need to be looking at this, or does?
and also does Randy, yeah, he wants you to look at it. Does Randy know how we can go live streaming?
Randy?
Yeah, Randini.
I don't know.
Because he knows a
about
whole
that.
bunch of this
He
stuff.
knows a lot of that stuff. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to
I'll
ask
be there in
him.
a second, and then you can ask me. I heard my name.
Right, you have to ask him. Okay, attached is the promo kit. Okay, all I've heard is positive feedback regarding your performance. People will really enjoy the experience. My girlfriend and I caught your act in Saluda, North Carolina. Absolutely fantastic.